Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight on episode 35, season 4 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live on Wednesday on Facebook throughout the season, which is now heading into internationals. So good evening, Richie. No games for us to review this week, so it's time for our awards night, most important night of the season for us. How are you, and how was your first week without NRL?
Yeah, I'm well, Brad. Thanks. A little bit lost without the NRL, to be honest. It didn't take long to start missing it, but we do have internationals around the corner. And yeah, I mean, tonight should be a bit of fun. We get to face the music and have a laugh at how garbage our predictions were at the start of the year. And
Yep.
And of course the awards. So it should be a good one.
It is a doozy. And Paul is not with us tonight, unfortunately, so you have to put up with me working on all the slides, and there's a lot of them that I was creating this week for all the awards. But while we're here live on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m, you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those places. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week. As Richie just mentioned, we're going to wind back the clock and look at our preseason predictions and how wrong we were. We'll then stop and answer some questions from you guys as well, some questions we've got for each other. We'll then announce our 2023 award winners before ending the night with a quick recap of Super League. So, remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump into the top stories, Richie, because, with all the slides, we're going to be here for a while.
Yep, let's do it.
I see Simon and Mike here. Evening, guys. Obviously, the biggest news this week was former Rabbitoh Nathan Merritt is in hospital after collapsing at his auntie's house after they've said it's an adverse reaction to some prescribed pain meds, and he's fighting for his life. Very tough situation for him and his family, and hopefully he keeps on fighting. I did see a little bit in the news today. The Rabbitohs have made a comment saying they were waiting for the right time, but after speaking with his family, it sounds like he has shown improvement, which is good to see. But bit of a shocking event to happen, kind of out of nowhere, Richie.
Oh yeah, big time. I feel for him. I'm happy to hear his conditions improved a wee bit, and I just hope he keeps fighting the good fight and pulls through. He's I always remember him as a gun finisher. And it'd be sad news if it were to go the wrong way. So I hope he keeps fighting and pulls through.
Yeah. So we send him our best, and hopefully we can give a happier update next week or whenever the news develops. We'll stay on the Rabbitohs for one more bit. They've re-signed Jason Demetriou until the end of 2026, and they've also extended their assistant Ben Hornby until the end of 2025. It was a bit dicey this year with the Rabbits. It kind of looked like everything was falling apart, and I thought that Jason might be the brunt of it, but looks like they're backing him. So you think it's a good decision?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously this year they struggled a bit and missed out on the finals, but leading up to this year, they've been making prelim, at least the finals and prelims for a few years now. So, and Jason's not too long into his tenure with the Rabbitohs as head coach. So, I think it's good when clubs give the coach a bit of, a good crack at it. He might start to feel the pinch if they struggle for results next year, but I think with the caliber of players they have there and Jackie White incoming, they you'd think they've got enough in them to bounce back. It's all on them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just goes down to there's not a lot of stock options out there for a guy to come in anyway.
Yeah.
Better the devil you know. So I'm sure. Well, we'll see if. Like you said, if they have another year where they don't make the 8, I think there might be questions asked. But if they get into the 8 and competing as a premiership threat, I think everyone will forget about the issues they had this year.
Yeah, for sure.
John Cartwright, going on a completely different segue. He's been rumoured to have met with New South Wales and has thrown his hat in the ring to become the next New South Wales head coach, joining the list with Laurie Daly and that. You, as the New South Welshman here, what's your thought about John Cartwright potentially being the Origin coach?
Yeah, he's not a bad coach, John Cartwright. It doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. And I'm sure a lot of New South Wales supporters would feel similar. When you look over the other side of the fence and you've got Billy Slater doing wonderful things with Queensland, and he's just, as a player, was built for that Origin arena, and he's taking all that knowledge he has of it and applying it to Queensland in a coaching sense now, and they're just thriving. John Cartwright doesn't fill me with that same feeling of confidence, but we knew this, didn't we? We spoke about it last week. It's there's not a lot of options out there, so it might be who's the best of a small bunch. Worrying times though.
Yeah, well, worrying times for you.
I'm a Kiwi supporter.
Really
don't really care.
So now we've got a big section called the Tigers section now. I feel like we're Australian media, how we're talking about the Tigers all the time. But there has been a bit of news out of them. So we mentioned last week that the Tigers chairman, Lee, how do you say his last name? Hagney Patelis or something?
Good effort. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Despite announcing that he had extended as chairman, he's apparently been asked to stand down, a request he has rejected, and there's a board meeting coming up which could seal his fate. Apparently, the board aren't happy with him always putting his self out there. I think they're not as happy that the fact that he's the main sponsor as well. So I don't know. It's a mess there. But there's also been talk that they've joined up with the Liverpool Council to meet with the New South Wales government and proposing a new 20,000-seat stadium to be built in Liverpool, which would become their new permanent home. News that hasn't been taken well by the Tigers fan base. What's your thoughts on that, Richie, on the Tigers going to spend some money and build a stadium elsewhere?
Tigers fan base is very traditional and old school, aren't they? They love their suburban home ground. It is not. I think if they stick with where they are, they're going to need to make upgrades. That's clear. So whether that's how they spend their money, on Lee Hadjipantelis, or however you say his name, that's going to be a real interesting situation to watch unfold, because it's clear that the last few years the Tigers organization has been, it hasn't been run the best, and there's been terrible decisions there. They're always airing out their dirty laundry through the media, struggle to sign players. But what is clear is that in the office, it's not being run well. So probably the buck shouldn't just stop with him. There probably should be more heads rolling.
Pascoe should go as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But and Simon's mentioned, haven't they changed the logo? They have. They've got I got all excited. I heard they changed the logo, and then I went to look at it, and it's the same logo, but they've just kind of put a shield around it and put their anniversary date in it. So it's not really that impressive. So I didn't even grab a picture for us to show on here. But going on to that, leaking to the media, Stefano, he's got a clause in his contract that he could get out if they don't make the 8 and whatever. He's apparently willing to take that off the table if the club can guarantee they're going to stop leaking to the media all the stuff. We'll see what happens there. But they are a very leak heavy club. That's why everyone talks about them all the time, because
Yeah.
you're always guaranteed to get a little snippet of news out of them that you're not going to hear from other clubs. But that kind of does flow into the next part for Tigers corner. Benji Marshall apparently is not a happy chappy, as he wanted unity and solidarity from the club as he attempts to get them back on track, and all this stuff in the office is kind of the opposite. So he kind of wants everyone to be, a united front so they can actually try to get business sorted. I guess that goes back to the guys upstairs, having to get their egos in check, I guess, is the idiot's way from a guy outside looking in. Yeah. What's your thoughts? How do you make it a united front?
Oh, don't ask me, mate. I feel for Benji though, because I see where he's coming from, and he just loves that club and bleeds that club. So all the Muppets running it, it probably hurts him more than anybody. And
yeah,
he's put his hand up to coach the joint because of how much he loves the club and he wants to see them do well. But yeah, how do you get unity and solidarity? I don't know, but I think, like we were saying, heads need a roll up top, and they need a. They've done so many reviews and countless meetings and reviews and stuff leaked to the media, but they need to make some hard decisions and make some good decisions for a change. But it's a steep hill they got to climb because they're right at the bottom of it.
Yeah, and this is what's confusing to me. They got this this review being done by an outside party, yet they're making they extend the chairman. They're talking about building a new stadium, all the stuff that they probably shouldn't be doing until the review's finished.
Yeah. 100%.
It makes no sense to me, but it shows the mess they are. But yeah, last Tigers thing, I promise. They've apparently told Alex Twal that they've changed their mind and they would like to keep him. So that goes back to the mess it is. They don't know if they're up or down, but hopefully Alex Twal maybe tells them to stick it and go somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know what the situation will be there, but no doubt we'll talk about that once we get a decision, Richie.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I think that would be the right move if they want him to stay, because I tell you, he is not their problem.
No.
Yeah.
And then an interesting one. I put this in here because I knew you might be tickled by it. The Panthers were presented with a personalized WWE belt from the WWE for winning their third grand final in a row. I don't know if you know, but WWE actually have belts based on all the NFL teams that you can buy, where it's got the team's logo, except for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they're owned by a competitor in the wrestling business and they didn't want to sell it or whatever. But I saw a video on Instagram with an Australian wrestler from WWE who's apparently a Roosters fan announcing the award or the belt. It was a bit of a laugh. I don't know if it's still up, but I know the Warriors have a belt in their training room that they were given when I think it was Sheamus.
Sheamus, yeah. Big Warriors fan.
Yeah. But yeah, what's your thoughts on the Panthers getting a personalized WWE belt? It is a thing in America. You see it all the NFL and all that when someone wins the Super Bowl, and that they usually have a WWE belt to wear.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? They're so successful now that they're getting WWE belts. Good on them.
And Simon said the Jaguars are useless. I can't even throw my my stones there because my mighty New York Giants are the laughing stock of the league right now.
Not so mighty.
Would be it's off topic, and I know you guys love it, but the game this week, Richie, my Giants finally scored a touchdown in the first half for the first time this year. So yeah,
wonderful.
It's going great there. Sorry, completely off topic. Now, next bit of news, James Roby has announced his retirement in the Super League. been around forever. I've got some of his stats here, though. He played 551 games for St. Helens. That included 6 premierships, 4 Challenge Cups. He was a Man of Steel winner, and he had 2 World Cup Challenge wins and 38 international caps. So a storied career there, and well deserving of retirement. You got any memories of James Roby?
Pretty well, yeah. Obviously, class player, and the stats you just listed off are pretty damn impressive. If he's a Super League version of an immortal, really, in the NRL. If Super League had immortals, he'd for sure be one of them. But yeah, he can kick his feet up well and enjoy a well-earned retirement because he's been fantastic in Super League and international stage. So, sorry to see the back of him, but he can look back on a pretty fantastic career.
Yeah, and I know he has said he is interested in staying in league in some capacity. I'm not sure if that means he'll stick around St. Helens and potentially move into a mentor or coaching role or not. But I'm sure he's going to take some time to figure out what he really wants to do first. Spending pretty much the majority of his life playing professional football, you got to take a break and figure out what else you want to do. So wish him nothing but the best. And we'll go on to another retirement announcement that was actually pretty recent. I think it was last night. Braden Willamy from the Warriors and so many other clubs, as he said in his farewell. But he announced that he's hanging up the boots as well. 14 years playing professional league. As I said, he's been everywhere, so I didn't have a list of every club he played for because it felt like he played for all of them, Richie. But I had high hopes. I had no hopes when they announced that the Warriors had signed him, and then after seeing him in the trial, I kind of when I think he could be a big deal helping us out in that problematic center area. And, he had some injuries, and then when he did recover from the injuries, he never really had a chance to get back in once the centers were kind of locked. So probably not the way he would have wanted to hang it up, but and we don't know if this was his decision or if he got a tap on the shoulder. We're not sure. But again, wish him nothing but the best in whatever he plans on doing. It sounds like he's kind of got an idea of what he's doing, but he hasn't announced it yet. He's just said he's excited for what's to come. But what's your take on Braden leaving?
I feel for him because, like you say, after the trial and early in the season, he looked like he was going to be a bit of a little bit of a hidden gem we uncovered, but not to be. The injury struck, and he never really made his way back. He was always not quite there. So I feel for him in that sense, not being able to go out on his own terms playing. But good on him if he's got something good lined up for after his career. I hope he does, and wish him all the best.
Yeah. We'll obviously cover it if we hear any more. Next bit of news that came out of Warriors camp. Apparently, the Warriors have told Josh Curran that he has permission to leave the club if he finds a team that wants to sign him. And apparently, there's already 2 New South Wales teams interested. It's a hot topic if you go on social media with Warriors fans, because obviously Josh Curran is, he's got that cult status with the fan base. Everyone loves him. We were talking before we went on air. I don't want to see him go, but I can understand the decision. He obviously is a player that thinks and probably most likely deserves to be a starter in the NRL. And at the moment, he lost his spot to Jackson Ford and was never really able to get it back. And probably for what he's getting paid, maybe they've decided that they can get more out of Ford for less and made that decision. It's a business after all, and you gotta balance that salary cap. So sad to see him go, but I do understand the decision. But yeah, what's your take on old Curran?
Yeah, I love Josh. I've always rated him ever since he's been with us. So yeah, I took that news pretty hard. I don't think this would have happened on Nathan Brown's watch. So bring back Nathan Brown. I joke, but yeah, it's you understand because he's a great player and probably would get more game time elsewhere. So it's the business, like you say. But yeah, I'll be pretty cut up when he announces wherever he's going if that is to happen. So.
Yeah, and Jacko's mentioned, he said letting Curran go is a bit strange, but I think it was maybe his decision to look elsewhere. Yeah, that's kind of, there's been like a low rumbling rumor all this year, basically, that he wasn't that comfortable being a bench player and wanted to kind of leave and go and be a first grader, a starting first grader elsewhere. So I think it was probably, there was probably a discussion and, you know, they basically said, if someone else can guarantee you a start elsewhere, you know, go for it. But yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about where he's going once it's announced. If it happens, we don't know. It might be all smoke and mirrors, and then he's playing for us next year. We never know. But speaking of strange signings, potentially, there was also some late news today that it was Rue from Rue and Hammer that actually flicked it to us. But Walker Blake is apparently rumored to be getting thrown a lifeline contract by either the Cowboys or the Warriors. I probably would expect it to be the Cowboys because as we were talking again before we went on air, I don't see why the Warriors would pick up Walker Blake when you look at the outside backs and centers they're going to have next year. It doesn't make sense to me. And I feel there's probably other players that could fit his role if you had to go outside of the club and get them that you could get.
Fingers crossed it's the Cowboys, eh? Go be Peter Hickey replacement. I think it'd be a wasted signing if we were to look at investing in him. So surely that's not the case. Hopefully it's Cowboys.
Yeah, and Jacko's saying can't be. It must be fake news. It doesn't feel like a signing that Webby would do, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm expecting it to be the Cowboys. He's not needed at the Warriors. And before we get into the signing news, just want to talk about we're actually joining Rue and Hammer tomorrow night. I think it's 9 p.m. New Zealand time to discuss our preseason predictions that we made on their show. As you're about to see, we were not that great in that department, but it should still be a great show. So tune in to Rue and Hammer on their YouTube channel, 9 p.m. New Zealand time tomorrow if you want to come listen to us talk again. Get
that plug in while Paul's not here.
Yeah, exactly. While Paul's not here, we'll talk about the others. So signings, there were a few. I'll just rattle them off. We got the Sharks have re-signed Cade Dykes until 2025 and Mawene Hiroti and Jaden Burrell until the end of 2024. The Dolphins have extended Jermaine Osako until the end of 2026.
It's a good one.
Bailey Sirenen from the Warriors has signed a 2-year deal with the Catalan Dragons. The Tigers have re-signed Stafford Toa until the end of 2026. The Eels have signed Seagull Kalma Talangi on a 2-year deal, and then Leeds have signed Paul Mamorowski on a 2-year deal. I don't see anything that I scratch my head there, Richie. I think it's great to see Bailey not only sign a deal, but sign a deal with a decent Super League team as well. Yep. It's not like he's going to one of the bottom feeders. So great to see that. And easiest decision I think the Dolphins have had to make, re-signing Isako.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. Let's hope he keeps that form up and let's hope he brings that form over to the international stage because, being back with Wayne Bennett, he's killed it.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else you want to add into that before we move on?
No, not really. You summed it up, mate. I'm happy for Bailey Siren, and I think he'll go well over there. Sad to see him go, actually, because he turned me around. I wasn't always the biggest fan when he first got here, but I thought he's really good this year.
Yeah,
I
I
wish him
thought
all
he
the
had a
best.
good year.
He did.
And then injuries, there weren't really any new injuries. There's a few niggles in the internationals, but nothing major that we hadn't already talked about. Interesting, no one in the naughty boy corner due to no games being played. So we may as well jump straight into our predictions.
Well, this should be funny.
So I believe we did 9 predictions at the start of the year for anyone that wasn't watching back then. And then I kind of kept them in my little notepad that I've got with all our picks. And then I sat there for a few hours off and on every day this week, making all these slides to show how bad we were. So the first one, Richie, we had our predictions for the leading try scorer. If I can bring this picture up, you can see it. As you can see, there's big X's because we got it wrong. So
Terrible.
I picked Ronaldo Militalo, and you picked, who'd you pick?
Alex Johnston. Hey, what's most importantly, who got more tries this year? Because this turned it into a me versus you, because we both got it wrong.
I think you still got it right. I think.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I'm just going to check it because Mulatalo still got up there, mate. He was.
Yeah.
Oh no, I bet you.
Ah.
Mulatalo got 21 tries. Alex Johnson got 21 tries. So it's a tie.
It's a tie. Okay,
It's
there you go.
Fine.
We're equally as crap.
Yep. So yeah, both got that wrong because Jermaine Osako was the leading try scorer. Next one was leading point scorer. So I went with Nico Hines. And who did you go for, Matt?
Val Holmes.
Val Holmes. And obviously Jermaine Osako got this one. So
who got more? Go on.
Oh man, you're making me bring up. If
I'll
I knew you were
Google
going to
it.
ask me this, I'm doing so much here, mate. Points. Nico Hines got 187.
187.
Yeah, and Valentine Holmes got 170.
Oh.
So I bet you on that one again, mate.
Brad 1-0. No, the last one was a tie.
I'd take it though.
1-0.
Alphabet. Next one was the minor premiers, mate.
Hey, Sharks finished higher on the letters.
Yeah, I picked the Sharks.
Yeah.
And you picked the Roosters, and obviously the Panthers got this. So if everyone's taking scores at home, we're 0-3.
I think and then me versus Brad. I think Sharks finished higher, but Roosters went deeper into the comp.
Yeah.
No, it's regular season minor premier. Yeah. So there you go, another one for you.
Next one is signing of the year. Now this is a bit of a spoiler because there's no official signing of the year, so I've actually had to put our signing of the year winners here, which you can see are different because me and Richard are different people. But I picked Brandon Smith, and who'd you pick?
Api Coruscant.
And yeah, spoilers for later on. I picked Andrew Webster as my signing of the year. And who'd you pick for your signing of the year?
Reece Walsh. I didn't know we were going to dabble into the coaching realm there, but that's a good one. I
couldn't pick Reece. I couldn't do it.
Fair enough.
So yeah, another shocker for us there. Next one, Wooden Spoon. I felt like I was closer.
You were closer. You definitely were.
Shock horror. I went Dragons. Probably spoilers for who I'm picking next year as well. And who did you pick?
I went Dolphins. So I feel like I massively underrated the Dolphins. They exceeded my expectations by a lot.
Yeah, and Jacko commented saying Uppy was great in a losing team, though. Yeah, 100%. He was great, but fortunately not enough. Next one, our grand final matchup. Another one we got wrong, mate. I picked Sharks versus Roosters, and you picked
Roosters Rabbitohs. I went for the grudge match. Yeah, we were both way off.
We were miles off. We would have been closer if we said Warriors Storm.
Yeah.
that would have been closer. But obviously, it was Panthers Broncos. So yep, I got really into looking at these red crosses, Matt, doing all these slides.
There's a lot of them.
More. We've got some more. Deli M. I picked Nico Hines to go back to back. I honestly, on Deli M night, I thought it was going to happen. I thought maybe that he was still getting points.
He wasn't far off.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get it. I'm not going to be happy because SJ doesn't get it. But
I tell you who was far off. Mitch Moses. I was trying to be a bit cute there. I thought Parramatta would do a lot better than what they did. So
interesting.
Yeah,
we both.
I'll take the big fat L there.
Mate, we both picked flat track bullies to be the Deli M.
We did,
which kind of helps. Flat track bullies generally get a lot of points, and obviously Kalen Ponga got this one. So yeah, we'll have another loss, but we've got some good news, Richie. There's only 2 slides left, and I know the next one we get a tick.
Oh, thank goodness!
Finally, the only prediction we got right. First coach to be fired. We both picked Anthony Griffin, who was. It kind of feels like cheating. It felt like he was going to be the only option. I felt. Although we could have had it on the bingo card that the Titans were going to sack their coach as well. But yeah, well done us. We finally got a prediction right. And then the last one is our top 8. And as I told you, Richie, before we went on air, if we had copied and pasted our top 8 predictions from 2022, we would have got more right than what we did for 2023 because we were thinking ahead. So you can see there are ticks on there. So what I did last year was you got a tick if you picked a top 8 team correctly. You got an X if you picked a team that didn't make it. And then you got a gold star if you picked a team in the right spot on the ladder. Now, Richie, you actually managed that last year with one team. So, yeah, I'll go through my top 8, then you go through yours, and then we'll go through the actual. So I had Sharks first, who made the 8, but not in that position. Roosters, who made the 8, but not in that position. The Panthers, who made the 8. Then I picked the Rabbits, who didn't make the 8. Then I picked the Storm, who made the 8. So I picked 4 out of the 8 that were right. Then Cowboys, Eels, Bulldogs, who all didn't make the 8. And then you're 8, man.
I went Roosters to finish first. Made the 8, only just. So Rabbitohs second. Wow. Big fat L there. They missed the 8. Panthers in third. Obviously, they finished minor premiers. Sharks 4th. Storm 5th. Should have swapped them around. Still wouldn't have been on the money, but it would have been closer. Cowboys, Eels, Bulldogs, same 6, 7, 8 that you picked. We both made the massive mistake of not picking a grand final team in the 8. We both missed the Broncos.
Yep. Both missed the Warriors.
Yeah, but who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, and Simon said he thought that he told us to pick the Broncos. Yeah, he said, I remember early on in our prediction show, he said Broncos would make it.
Yeah, and Jacko both picked doggies. Why? This is why Simon and Jacko, you're smarter than both of us.
We believe the hype of the greatest coach that ever lived in Cameron Ciraldo. And
I bought every little bit of what Gus Gould was selling.
He sold us up the river. Interesting. We actually picked the same 8, just in different spots.
Yeah.
So we were pretty confident with the 8 teams that would make it. And we were 50-50. And then, obviously the final ladder, it was Panthers, Broncos, Storm, Warriors in the top 4. Then Knights, Sharks, Roosters, Raiders in the bottom.
I'm going to study every little stat available to me next year. I want to improve on this.
2024's prediction show, we're going to be a lot more accurate, I believe. I'm going to probably try to take personal bias out. I might have to pick another team to be Wooden Spoon instead of the Dragons. We'll see. But so that is all the predictions we did, and we were absolutely shocking. So we'll go into questions before we go into the awards. There weren't really any questions from anyone there. You didn't even send me your questions. So
I'll give you one. Yeah.
You're going to give me one off the fly. We'll go with yours
This
first.
is
Then,
completely off the dome. It's an easy one though, Brad. Now that the dust has settled on the 2023 season, where do you see the Warriors finishing 2024? Higher, lower, same?
we finished 4th. I think anywhere between 4th and 6th.
Well, that narrows it down. So same to slightly lower?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I still think Broncos, Panthers will be up there, and I think Storm maybe will stick around, but I think one of those other teams like Rabbits, Roosters, one of those teams will get a kick up
Show
the ass
improvement.
and show improvement. Top 4 is obviously the goal that I want to see, if not higher, But realistically speaking, I think, in a comfortable spot on the ladder.
I think there's other teams as well with great rosters that
will show improvement as well.
Yeah, if they get a bit more of a good shake injury-wise or take the lessons from this year, like the Cowboys, for instance, they're one I think they should be a top 8 team. Hopefully they end up signing Wonga Blake and they fail again.
And Jacko said Warriors' position will depend on signing another top-notch prop. Yeah, and that's another reason why I'm not that upset about Curran leaving. If we can use Curran's money to get another prop into the squad, I'll be happy. If it ends up Curran goes and Walker Blake comes in his place, then it's a different story.
You not see Roger Tuivasa-Sheck improving us?
It goes down to that forward pack though. I personally, if it was me and Webby still doesn't return my calls, but I would be making Tohu a prop from next year. Bring in someone else into that lock spot just because there isn't another, decent prop.
He's one of the best locks in the comp this year.
I know, but he's fallen apart, man. So, you got to make him a prop where he's going to get more battered and bruised.
Yeah, the attrition's all the same.
I don't know. I'm still hoping that we get an announcement that they've managed to land Saifiti or something like that. I know Saifiti's already best friends with Barney. So, Mitch Barnett can go, come on, mate, it's not that bad over here. But we'll see. And Simon said he has the Dolphins make the playoffs next year with the Broncos to make the rivalry in Brisbane stronger. Yeah, I think Dolphins have got some good talent coming in too. There's a lot of teams that can improve, which will make it a bit tougher. But, if you want to win the whole thing, you got to beat everyone, really. Unless you're the Panthers who lose to the Tigers. But
they're still lacking a little bit in the halves, though, the Dolphins. I think if they got Katoa's coming up, but if they had a real good, solid 7, Sean O'Sullivan's good, but someone a bit hot in the next tier up from that, that would really help them.
Yeah. My question to you, mate, before we move on, thinking ahead to 2024, which coach do you believe is most at risk of losing their job? Had to ask you this because it's the only one we seem to be correct about.
Well, it's a tough one heading into 2024, Brad, because you think if a coach is under pressure of losing their job, it's going to come from a team near the foot of the table. The Dragons this year, but they've just got Shane Flanagan. So they've got a new coach who's a good coach. So it's not going to be him.
Not going to sick him. No.
I don't see the Tigers getting rid of Benji when it's his first year as a head coach on his own. Serraldo's only just had 1 year, and he's got Critter coming in, which should improve their roster a bit. So you'd think he'd get at least another year. Yeah, it's a tough one.
You're naming every coach.
Because like all of the bottom teams have either new coaches or people I don't believe are at risk. I think if the Rabbitohs have another year where they're really, below where they should be, Demetrio, I know they've just re-signed him, but
it doesn't really mean anything, does it?
Do you think they're going to take another year of missing the 8 if that pans out? It's a big if, because they could turn it around and finish top 4. It's a tough one. I don't see many coaches on the chopping block immediately in 2024. What about you?
Yeah, I am actually that answer too. I don't think any coach is going to lose their job, but most at risk. Um, I'm gonna be bold here, man, and say Trent Robinson.
Oh, that's not a bad shout. Well, he's been there that long. He's
He
had
won't he's
he's
not going to get sacked, but I think in terms of people, he's probably the most at risk. Oh yeah, that's actually Jack Coe just made a good point.
Peyton.
Peyton needs result. Yeah, Toddy could be at risk too. But Trent Robinson, the Roosters, they squeaked into the 8. If they are bad again next year,
They'll start looking at him, eh?
there'll be pressure on him going, maybe he's been here. They'll do the Gould thing when Gould sacked Cleary the first time, saying he's just tired. Trent's just tired and needs a break.
What about Arthur at the Eels? He's another one that's been there a long time.
Yeah.
And they've made the finals pretty much every year he's there, but they didn't this year. Another poor year from them, and he could be another one.
Another poor year could be them too. So yeah, we're cheating here. We're just saying all the coaches. I feel like the only coaches that are safe are Cleary and Webby. But yeah, great way to answer a question by not answering it. It's a standoff at its best.
You stitched me up with a tough one there, Brett.
I at least gave you time to prepare, mate. I sent you that on Monday.
I was testing how good you are.
Yeah. So that is it for the questions. We kind of answered all your guys' ones as they came through. So we'll go into awards, mate.
Cool.
So we've got, I think there's 15 or 16 because we had Paul kind of threw us under the bus last week by saying, let's do a viewers one. We didn't get a lot of nominations. We actually only got 2. So I've split that into 2 award winners for the viewer. But our first one was biggest surprise. If I can bring it up. So my biggest surprise was the Roosters' decline. We kind of, you predicted them to go all the way, and I expected them to be in the grand final. So to just squeak into the 8 was a massive prediction I never would have got. What was your winner, mate?
Warriors top 4 finish. We both had them outside the 8. I would have been over the moon at the start of the year if you told me they were going to make top 8. Top 4 was well beyond what I was expecting and was hoping for. So the most pleasant surprise I could have asked for.
Yeah.
Apart from winning a grand final, but which didn't happen. So.
Definitely. And then our next award is the Rookie of the Year. I went with Jareem Buller. And I just thought he was great in a team that was rubbish. And who did you go with?
I just cheated and went with the person that got Rookie of the Year, Sunia Taruva. But he was fantastic. I think he got targeted a lot this year by pretty much every team they came up against. People don't like kicking to Brian To'o because they know the run meters on returns he brings. Everyone was kicking to Taruva. Didn't drop the ball. Safe as houses under the high ball. Pretty much made every post a winner. Scored tries. He was really great.
Yeah, and Jacko mentioned the Waz Rise was by far the biggest surprise. He's still not sure if it actually happened. Yeah, I just didn't want us to always pick the same person, So I try to look at other teams as well. But next one we had was biggest blunder, which we actually both agreed on. The refs missing Walsh's forward pass. Yeah, I don't know how it was missed. I'm not throwing in the whole, it cost the Warriors the game or whatever, just on the call alone. And I'm going, it's really hard to get a good picture of it, as you can see there. It's a bit blurry.
That looks forward to me on the picture.
It does still look forward, yes.
It looks a mile forward.
But it was one we both agreed on here. Anything you want to add about the blunder of a pass there?
No, it was garbage. It actually hurts that we're bringing it back up.
Yeah. Next one is haircut.
There could only be
haircut.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, we went with DWZ. That hair is just amazing.
Glorious.
Yeah, not much more I can really say about it, mate. And Jacko said the biggest blunder was Walsh walking, not covering the hole when Cleary scores wing. You can't call that a blunder because Walsh doesn't know how to defend.
That's a standard defense.
That's a standard defense. It's more, I guess, a blunder of how a fullback can get into the professional league and not know how to tackle. But it is what it is. Next one, we're disagreeing here. Worst haircut. I went with Adam Fanua-Blake for his Mohican cut that he had at the beginning of the year, where there was only he was completely bald except for a little 1-inch circle around the top of the head with a ponytail.
I quite liked that.
I'm sure you would. I didn't like it. But who'd you go with?
I went Viliami Kikau for his big blonde racing stripe up the middle of his head.
Second year in a row you've picked him, mate.
Yeah, I don't like it. It offends me. I hope he cuts it.
Yeah, I don't. If he's had it 2 years in a row, I don't think it's going away, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But next one was the sign of the year, which we already spoke about. I went with Andrew Webster, and you went with Reece Walsh. So I'll go first. Webster, we've got it recorded. You can go back on YouTube and see when the news of Webster getting signed was announced. We discussed it on the show. I was very hesitant about it. And I wasn't sure, at the time when he was announced, the Warriors were a mess, right? They were, bad on the field, looked like a mess off the field. And it was like, can a rookie coach come in and actually survive swimming in there with what a mess it was? And then I heard him on This Warriors Life, Ruinhammer, Sens, all those places when he actually got the job and he was talking to people, and he won me over in those interviews. It was like, I don't know how good they're going to go in 2023, but it sounds like he knows what he's doing, so he can make them better in time. I didn't expect what happened straight away, obviously, but I think if we were still with Nathan Brown, I think it would have been another sad season of the standoff for us.
Yeah, big time.
But yeah, you picked Walshy boy. So
take away his defense. I think his team has defended amazingly. You look statistically, were they second best for the year behind Panthers? I think they were.
Yeah.
His team covered his back very well in that area, and what he brought attacking wise to them pretty much changed them. Made them way more threatening, and the results spoke for themselves. He didn't carry that all the way to the grand final, which I was pretty happy about.
Yeah.
But look at what he's done throughout the season, and then in the Origin arena as well, where he shone there. So I think he was definitely. I can see Webster. I didn't know you're going to pick him, and I think, mate, if we were going coaches, I agree with you completely. But looking at players, I think Richie boy was right up there.
Yeah, he was fantastic this year. Next one, I've actually included Walsh in the next one. Spoilers. Hits of the year. So I went with Joseph Tapani, wiping the floor with a Walshy baby. And who did you go with?
I went for Haumole Olakauatu on Justin Olam. The one I enjoyed the most was probably the one you picked, although it was a big forward whacking a little fullback who was injured. But it was very enjoyable. Olakauatu hitting Olam, who's just normally a block of granite. I haven't seen too many people wipe out Olam like that, so it was I felt that one. It was a good one. He didn't miss.
Yeah, a big forward hitting a little back that's hurt and not really looking is 100% the reason why I picked it.
And the fact that it was Walsh as well made it better.
Yeah. Next up, we've got try of the year. We didn't agree on this one either. I went with Dominic Young versus the Dragons for him defying gravity. It's so amazing. It's very hard to get into my little picture there. But there was no way he should have been able to score that try. And there were quite a few. You could say the same with Dallin.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes.
I went with Dom Young. And who'd you go with?
Yeah, you can have your flash acrobatic one, Brad. I picked Sean Johnson versus the Titans. The one where he palmed off Fafita, passed out to Dallin's wing, who drew in 3 people and got around the back offload behind 3 people back to Sean Johnson, who scores a very biased pick, but hey, this is my pick. I don't care.
Mate, that wasn't even Sean's best try of the year, even.
Maybe not, but mate, it goes by the values that I love. A good offload. I'm surprised you didn't pick it, Brad. You're normally the one that loves offloads, but
the best Warriors try of the year for me is Sean's intercept against the Raiders from kickoff. That one, it came out of nowhere.
That's an interesting pick. I thought for sure maybe Dallin's one against the Raiders as well, where he plucked it out of midair when it looked like it was going over the sideline, and he managed to keep it in.
Mate, scoring off a kickoff is pretty impressive, especially if you're not the one receiving.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jacko's mentioned Olam's off the Super League with Sam Burgess, ? Yeah, I've heard that he's potentially going to Super League. I didn't know it was with Warrington, but the Storm are over him for some reason. So yeah, once we've got an official announcement, we'll probably talk about it in the next few weeks. Next bit was a hard one, this one. Personality of the year. We were talking about it when we were trying to pick our award winners, going like,
yeah,
who the hell would you pick?
It looks like we've gone the polarizing route.
Yeah, which still counts. It doesn't have to be a good personality, but I've gone with Jerome Luai. He rubs everyone the wrong way.
Old daddy.
Telling everyone to, calm down, you've got work tomorrow. All that stuff, acting like he won the grand final when his team didn't actually improve until he went off the field injured. All that stuff, it was still there. If I didn't dislike him so much, I'd probably be entertained more by it, but it's still the NRL would be boring if you didn't have characters. So love him or hate him, he's still a character. So I've gone with Jerome. And who'd you go with?
Very similar, mate. The bloke who was having fisticuffs with him and headbutting him in Origin, Reece Walsh. I think he's just one of those personalities where everyone wants a piece of him this year. His star has risen massively. If you ask Peter V'landys, he's got a Justin Bieber-like presence and charisma, which makes me laugh even more. He acts like a flog sometimes with the look at the most recent I'll Take Your Mum's Head as an example. But yeah, he's got personality. Not always good. A lot of the times it's wrong, but he's young and he is undoubtedly a star. So,
and Jacko said Luai actually does some tremendous work with youth in Penrith. He is an enigma. Yeah, there is a lot of good things he does as well.
He's massive in that community. He does heaps of good community work.
So, and he's a talented player as well. But it was very hard. I think last year I picked Ricky. So I went with Ricky Stewart, which he was going to be another one with a couple of his presses this year. But next one, we both agreed, most improved team. We both went with the Warriors. Kind of hard not to.
Yeah.
Going from second to last to top 4. Going one game away from a grand final. No one really predicted that. And I think last year we had the Warriors as the team that needed to improve. I think that is an award we've got later on.
Well, they did that.
And so, we took that one off in our predictions, mate. So, most improved. Hopefully it's only the beginning. Most improved player, both agreed again. It went to SJ. Going from all the talk on maybe should hang up the boots. Some people who we're going to talk to tomorrow that said that he wouldn't even finish the year in first grade. I don't think he's watching at the moment, so I can stick it in there. to, people talking about him being robbed at the Dally M's and being the RLPA Player of the Year. So there's really no one else you could say improved more than SJ, in my opinion. But anything else you want to add about the Prince of Penrose?
Just how happy I am that he had that year. I couldn't be happier he had that year. After the couple of years he's had, you could tell COVID period was tough on him. Last year was tough on him. I think he deserved a lot better than that. He's definitely a lot better player than what he showed leading up to this year. So I think he showed his true colours this year and how far he's come as a player and how much he's thrived under Webby. So, more of the same next year, please, Shawnee. Love to see it again.
See more of the same. We don't want to see it go backwards. So next one, biggest room for improvement. So this is the one where we both agreed on the Warriors last year. So I went with the Tigers. Kind of simple, they said last year, the only way is up from here, but they were wrong because a new team came in and they went one step down. But they are now officially at the very bottom.
Yeah.
So the only way is up. They can't.
Surely.
I know there's that cliche, and it may be true, but they always say, every team in the NRL comes into a season saying we're going to win it. They're not. No one's looking at we need to hit the 8. I think the Tigers realistically just have to go in and go, we don't want to win the spoon again. That should be their only goal. If they manage to shock everybody and go all the way to the grand final, which I don't think is even remotely possible, great. But they can't win another wooden spoon. They have to get off that. So that's why I picked them. But who'd you pick?
Well, I didn't go the obvious route of picking the wooden spoon team as the biggest room for improvement. Actually, I went Bulldogs, but I think you could throw Tigers, Bulldogs, Dragons all in that same basket. It's splitting hairs. All three were terrible. I think I expected more out of the Bulldogs with the coaching change and we both picked them in the 8, mate. Exactly, and we were sold on that, but obviously, I think in hindsight, they still need time. But I think that they underperformed for what I expect for them, obviously. So I went with them.
Yep. Story of the year. So we picked different here. I went with the Up the Waz movement. Love it or hate it, Up the Waz is here to stay. It's just, it was something that you heard every now and then, and it went global. People over watching the Rugby World Cup are doing Up the Waz. NBA coaches at the Basketball World Cup are saying Up the Waz and probably don't even know who the hell the Waz are. And just, it's probably not just the Up the Waz, more the momentum of the fan base. I think we saw from the Warriors was probably the story. This is a Rugby Union World Cup year, and you were hearing more about the Warriors than you were about the All Blacks, which doesn't happen in this country. So it was more that just, the bandwagon filling to the brim and, just a great story. And hopefully everyone sticks around if it gets a bit rocky next year. But your story.
Dolphins first season entering the comp with a bang, starting off with a winning streak. I picked them for wooden spoon. I didn't think their roster had the depth. Yep. It didn't have the depth to sustain, obviously. It didn't have the depth to sustain it, but what they did coming in, I don't think anybody had tipped them to go as well as they did initially. And just to come in and immediately forge a DNA of a tough, gritty team who might not have all the talent of some of the other teams, but they fought tooth and nail for everything and came up with some really great wins. So I thought that was for their first year, I was really happy that they came in and actually had a bit of success and they weren't just cannon fodder right off the bat.
Yeah, well, most people pick them, if not wooden spoon, to be bottom four, but they ended up 13th, which I think was great for the year they had and some of the injuries they had as well. They lost some key figures. So, great story for them as well. And, another team you probably expect to be a finals contender next year with, like Farnworth, Flegler, a few others that they got coming in. They got some good players coming in, but then so did the Bulldogs. So, see, hopefully Bennett probably knows a little bit more than Serraldo, but time will tell. Then team of the year. We both agreed on this one, Penny Panthers. Kind of hard to look past them. I picked the wrong picture. I thought I got this year's premiership, but I see Cacau's in the background there and Tyrone May. So I picked the wrong picture for my slide. I apologize, everyone. But
that's all right. It's just one big 3-year period of the same thing, really.
Come grand final time, rinse and repeat this picture. They do it every year.
Yeah.
But it was hard to go past them hitting the three-peat. And, been a fantastic year for them. Hopefully it's not a four-peat if the Warriors are in contention. If it's Panthers, Broncos again, I'll be happy to see a four-peat probably.
Yeah, same.
But anything else you want to add that we haven't already said bloody hell all year about this team?
We've been saying it all year, man. I thought they would decline a little, losing Kikau and Coruscant. And then you see them lose in preseason to St. Helens and then drop round one against Brisbane. And then a few rounds in, lose to the Tigers. Yeah. I think ever since that point, they've been virtually unstoppable.
Amazing. They did lose more games this year than the year before. But, you think back 2022, they basically had the minor premiership sewn up like a month before the season ended. It was still in contention in the final round, but class and that comeback in the final.
What a way to do it.
So well done, Penny Panthers. And then I think the last award of us is Player of the Year. We both agreed. SJ, basically everything we said about most improved. Our LPA Player of the Year, just fantastic, and very happy to see him finally have a really good year after a long time of injuries and down form. Anything else to add there?
Let's see it again, Shawnee. 2024. I hope he has a similar run of injuries that he had this year, because this year had to be one of his best runs of injury-free footy. I know he, towards the end, walking wounded a bit with his quad and then the calf. But the bravery, we didn't speak about the bravery, the growth he made defensively, putting his body on the line. Bring it on, man. Let's do it again.
And then the last award was the viewers one. So as I said, there were only two people that actually nominated anything, which made it really easy to pick. So we had Andrew JP, who's the editor of Nothing But League. He's a Raiders fan, like our good friend Simon. He picked Jared Croker's 300 game. He had a breakdown of it, like a little sentence, but I couldn't fit it all on a slide, but just said, it was a great moment for a great player. Wasn't a great result.
I loved that game. I agree with him. That was a great game.
It was a great game, but we talked about it even before the game, like how great it was to see him actually hit the 300. Everything done for the Raiders, where it looked like he wasn't going to make it.
No one more deserving.
Yeah. So, well done. Great pick there, Andrew. And then Kiwi Bjorn, I saw you here earlier. I hope you're still here. You actually commented on my, I think it was Twitter, say Jason Paris speaking out about the officials was his moment of the year. I know some people didn't like it. A lot of Warriors fans loved it. And despite the refs and the Graham Ellerslie and that coming out saying it's all lies and made him take it back, it's fair to say the refs' decisions in 50-50 started getting a bit better until we got into the business end of the game.
Yeah.
But in regular season after that, there was a bit more of the rub of the green going the Warriors' way. And I had the pleasure of actually meeting him briefly at the final game. He came to the little bar area outside the stadium. I was there with Warriorholic and Wise Up podcast and that, and he's been talking a lot with Warriorholic, so he came over and had a beer with our table and seems like a real cool dude. Very passionate about league, as you could tell by some of the tweets he gives during games. But yeah, great. I thought they were great picks by both. So thanks, guys. And next year, maybe a few more of you make my job a bit harder and throw some suggestions my way that I have to figure out. But that was it for all those our awards for the year. I felt it was a bit easier to pick this year because I was a bit more positive as the year went on.
Yeah, I think that helped. I pretty much sent you mine straight away. It was like, a lot of it just flowed.
Yeah, last year we kind of wanted to forget the NRL existed with how bad the Warriors were going. So that's it for the awards. Before we go away, we've got a little bit on overseas news. But again, just remind everyone before we go into that we'll be on with Ruin Hammer tomorrow night, making fun of all our predictions again, which should be a bit of a laugh. But yeah, we'll go into Super League before we let everyone go, mate. It's probably our shortest show in a while, so Paul should probably stay away for a bit. But just like the NRL, the Super League's grand final is going to be played between first and second place, like we predicted last week, Richie.
Yep.
With Catalans playing Wigan. Also, we had Bevan French won the 2023 Man of Steel, which is the Super League's Dally M, basically.
Yeah.
So congrats on that. And I've got another one here. It's about the promotion relegation. So the next league down, we've got London playing Toulouse for the winner comes into Super League. But London Broncos actually had a massive upset over Featherstone, 36-26, to get into that spot. Featherstone ended the regular season, Richie, first by a country mile. They were miles ahead of everybody, and London were fifth, and now Featherstone aren't even in the grand final. Shows how good London were, I guess. So yeah, it's going to be that game. It's London versus Toulouse. Winner replaces Wakefield in the Super League next year. And then, the semi-finals, Catalans defeated St. Helens 12-6. And then Wigan defeated Hull KR 42-12.
Great results.
Great results there. And yeah,
very happy to see no St. Helens and Wigan through to a final.
Yeah. Then Simon said there's going to be a French English in both divisions. Yeah, I think in terms of trying to grow the game in France, Toulouse getting back up there will be great. But Toulouse were there, and I feel like whichever team gets there potentially could be in the same Wakefield territory. But in saying that, Lee were the team that came up last year, and they made finals.
Yeah.
And then Simon said his honest opinion, Featherstone have no business being in the Super League. They're a town of 15,000 people, and they openly broke COVID rules during lockdown live live in the same areas as Wakefield and Castleford. Yeah, but they have a shot because if they beat Featherstone's gone. Maybe Karma's a bitch, and that's why they didn't make it. Simon said Toulouse is the fourth biggest city in France. It's bigger than a lot of places in England. If they can stay in Super League for long term, they could bring generational revenue. Yeah, I think for the good of the game, a team like Toulouse, it would be great to have them in the Super League.
Yeah.
But it's just so hard once they're there to actually stay, as we've seen. So if they get there, they've got to get some good talent in, hopefully. But yeah, there's also, I was going to cover it in the news, there's a bit of news that a lot of players that had signed deals with Featherstone, expecting Featherstone to go and win and come into Super League, and now all scrambling trying to get out of their contracts because they don't want to go play in the next division down. But that's also a problem for me with promotion relegation. That team that gets relegated, like Wakefield, they get completely, raped and pillaged of all their talent. And then that team that gets moved up doesn't have the talent to begin with and ends up going back down. I think it's just historical trauma from being a Counties Manukau fan, watching us, go and lose to the bottom place first division team every year and not getting up, but then all our talent becoming Waikato or Canterbury talent. I know it's not a rugby union show, but that's where it stems from. I'm still hurt. And Simon said, relegation is going to be modified in the next couple of years where it will not just be a performance on the field, but other criterias. Yeah, I think that's got to play a part. You got to show that you can actually survive in that top tier development as well. So grand final this week, Richie, Wigan versus Catalans. So be a good one. I know who I'm going for.
Bias tip. I'm going to tip Wigan.
So, I know it's probably better for the game if Catalans win it, being French, but
up the English was.
Up the English wires, yeah. And so next week, we spoke very briefly during the week. I went and looked at all the international games, the dates they played and whatnot, and we've kind of got it where we can go the next few weeks doing our show reviewing at least 1 or 2 games a week. So we'll probably end our season 4 after the finals of the Pacific Cup. So, next week we'll be reviewing the Kangaroos versus Toa Samoa, Jillaroos versus Kiwi Ferns, PNG versus Cook Islands, and Whetu Samoa versus Fiji Bilakula, which is the Samoan, Fijian women teams, and previewing the week after games, which I think is Samoa versus the Kiwis.
Yeah.
And the like. So, tune in next week for us when we're actually going to be just talking about international footy. Shows probably won't be that long due to how many games there are, but we've said that before, mate. So we'll see what happens.
But internationals are back, man. That's how good is that? So we're always harping on about it. I'm glad we're getting the chance at the end of this standoff season to actually dive into it. Yeah,
and Simon said, I'm very happy if you guys are going to keep doing that. I'm happy with whatever decision you do. If you want to review the international games, that's good for you. Yeah, which is kind of what you said, Richie. You said if you're happy to do it, I'm in, and I got nothing else to do, so I may as well keep talking. I'm going to be watching all the games anyway, so it makes sense that we keep talking about it. And as a show, we've been very vocal about being passionate about internationals. So it'd be silly not to review the games we're so passionate about.
Yeah.
So makes sense. So, looking forward to some international footy, and not a lot of Warriors being picked. So that means hopefully we don't risk too many injuries, so it's a win-win for us there. We did, before we move on, I forgot, there was a lot of Warriors that made the Kiwis A team as well. Ali Lautawa, Rocco Berry. Kalani Going was in there too.
There
was heaps.
Yeah, there was quite a few. Which is awesome.
Yeah, good to see those younger guys getting a look in as well. So anything else you want to add before we go?
No, man. Thanks. Well done running all those slides. That was Rob just said Tain Tuapiki was in there too, which is really great.
Yeah.
No, you did well, Brad. I was a bit worried for you. Paul not being here tonight with all those slides, so well done. And another awards show and prediction show done and dusted. So
my old laptop was cranking trying to do all those slides at the same time, but we got there. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us on the Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into our show next week at 8 p.m. here on Facebook or at your convenience on iHeartRadio or Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. And remember to tune in to Ruin Hammer tomorrow night at 9 if you want to listen to us ramble again. Should be a good night. But cheers again for joining me, Richie, and good night, everyone.